Hello and welcome to Wahid Technologies. In this video, we will give you a quick demo of how to use our JSON to HTML library. The demo will cover rendering validation from JSON. There are different methods in a library that can be found on our website. You can use any of those methods. In addition, we have also developed some APIs with the name Northwind APIs, as you can see on your screens. These APIs are developed in order to test our J2HTML library. These APIs are freely available and accessible for all. Before starting the demo, let me show you the introductory page of the documentation of our library. You can get our library by two ways. Either you can get it directly from our website, or you can clone it from the GitLab repository. In the demo, we'll be going with the second way, that is, we'll be cloning the library from the Git repository. The validation component has further many examples. We will test each example one by one. Okay, let's start the demo. Step 1 is to clone our J2HTML library. For that, click File, go to Open Folder. Let's create a dummy folder and give it a name, Validation Example. Select the folder. As you can see, currently the folder is empty. Click View, go to Terminal. Write here command git clone, and from here copy the git link, paste it here, press enter. As you can see, the cloning is under process. The cloning has been done successfully. We have loaded files here successfully. Let's test our first example of the validation, that is required on click. For that, first of all, we'll copy the HTML section of the code, and in the example.html, we will create a container div paste the code inside this div. In the JS folders, create a new file, give it a name, validation.js. Here, we'll write the function that will be called on the on click of the button. You just copy. wahidtechnology.com/northwind/API/customer. Writing a callback function. Now from here, we'll be copying the JavaScript function or the code, paste it here. Go to File and save all the changes. Last but not the least, copy the script tag, paste it here, and change the name of the file you just created. Also, write here on click and a function you have just written in the JS file. White typos. we'll copy the exact text, go to file and save all the changes. Now let's test this example. As you can see, we have successfully loaded the errors as defined in the code, that the username is required and the password is also required. These two fields cannot be left empty. Let's test the next example, that is required on leave. Validate an element on leave. For that, once again, we will copy these two code lines of HTML, paste it here, copy the JS code, paste it here, now go to file, save all the changes. Let's test this example. As you can see, now we are in the field, and on leaving the field we will receive the error that username is required. Now see, we have got the message successfully. Let's test the next example, that is required with custom CSS class. For that, we will add this style here, copy the JS code, paste it here, go to file and save all the changes. Let's test this example. As you can see, we have loaded the message with custom CSS class. Let's test the next example, that is required message with a pop-up. Everything would remain the same except add these two lines here, go to file, save all the changes. Let's test this example. As you can see, we have successfully loaded the pop-up. Let's test the next example, that is validating the date. For that, copy the HTML part of the code, paste it here, copy the JS part of the code, paste it here, go to file, save all the changes. Let's test this example. As you can see, when the field was empty, we have received the error that must be a date. Now, if we enter a valid data, we did not receive any error. Let's test the next example, that is validate decimal. For that, HTML would remain same. Only we would change the placeholder price. The JS, change the validation type to decimal, and message to must be decimal. Let's test this example. As you can see, we have received the error as it was not a decimal, rather it was an integer. Writing the correct decimal, we did not receive any error. Let's test the next example, that is validate email. Everything would remain the same except we would change the ID to text email. Copy this ID, paste it here, change the validation type to email, and message to must be an email. Go to file and save all the changes. Let's test this example. Writing incorrect email, I received an error. As you can see, on writing the correct format of the email, we did not receive any error. Let's test the next example, that is validate max length. Making few changes in the HTML. Changing the placeholder to max length. Copy this ID, paste it here, and we'll add these. We'll copy these two parameters, paste it here, go to file, save all the changes. Let's test this example, the max length. You receive the error as the maximum length was 5 and entered 6 values. Let's test the next example, that is validate minimum length. Everything will remain the same except change the ID max to min, placeholder to min, and in the JS file, changing the ID to the new ID we just changed, changing the validation type to min, changing the error message to minimum length is 5. Save all the changes. Let's test this example. As you see, we have received error as minimum length is 5 and the data we just entered was of length 2. We did not receive any error. Let's test the next example, that is to validate number, like whether the number is integer or not. Changing the ID changing the validation type, changing the message to please enter page number. Placeholder will be changed as will be asking the user to enter age. Save all the changes. Let's test this example. As you see, we received the message we have just coded because we entered alphabet instead of number. As you can see, we did not receive an error now, as the data we entered is of number type. Let's test the next example to validate a phone number, changing the ID to phone, placeholder to phone, copy this new ID and replace it with the old one, change the validation type to phone, and error message to phone number. Go to file, save all the changes. Let's test this example. Writing an invalid phone number, and as you see, we have received the error. Function runs successfully. Let's test the next example, that is to validate a URL. Changing the ID, text URL, copy it here from here, paste it here, changing the validation type, URL, changing the error message to URL is required. Go to File, save all the changes. Let's test this example. As you see, I received the error. Now, let's say we copy the URL of the API, paste it here. You see, we did not receive any error now as we have entered a valid URL. Let's test the next example, that is valid with custom regex. This means for the password, we will set some criteria, and if the entered password does not obey the criteria, a pop-up message will be shown. Copy the password line, paste it here. Copy the JS code, paste it here. Go to File, save all the changes. Let's test this example. As you see, we have loaded the pop-up with the details of the required elements for the password in a pop-up. Let's test the last example, that is to validate a zip. Once again, only few changes in the code. Copy the HTML section of the code, paste it here. Copy the JS section of the code, paste it here. Go to File, save all the changes. Let's test the last example. As you see, on empty, we have received the message. On entering an invalid zip code, we have received an error. On writing a correct zip code, we did not receive any error. Thank you for watching the video.